What up, guys? How you guys doing? Hopefully really, really well. Hopefully really, really well. What's up, Disco? What's up, TSC? How you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a good Sunday. Gaff works. What's up? So today I've mostly lubed all the switches that I need to lube. I'm just snapping them all together pretty much. Pretty devastated. Uh-oh. What happened? What did I miss? I have to admit, I have not been connected to any of the socials or literally anything this morning. Just kind of been in my own little zone. What's up, Disco? You guys are making me worry. For real. Somebody PM me if this is like not a joke. I was wondering why they weren't around this morning though. Actually, they were hosting somebody, I think. Dang. I really love those guys. I hope nothing. I have some ideas. You guys aren't messing with me, right? That's not okay. Yeah, definitely do that. All right. Well, ignoring that for a moment, because not trying to. Kenny 1234561. Thanks for the sub, man. I really appreciate that. I really, really do. No, it's all good, dude. Disco, it's all good, man. Life happens, so whatever it is, I know stuff happens. Shocks, what's up, dude? No KB, how you doing? So yeah. I wanna show something off because I know that at least one person in this Discord is really happy about this specific thing. Not these. We're almost done with these. I'll set these aside. Although, that's a pretty cool lube station. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that beautiful, beautiful monster. Kenny, I figured that was probably the case. We'll get it sorted. We'll get it sorted. Yeah, center coconut. That was kind of what I was imagining. Yeah, so look at this beautiful, beautiful oddity. It really is an oddity. A full-size keyboard wearing a gradient dark set with like glowy shine through-ish type legends. They're not actually shine through, like hardcore shine through. I think they're made to glow. TSC can say more about this DSA set. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, for a full size that isn't wind keyless, like, I think it looks pretty good. I do. Anyway, it doesn't really fit here as well as a 60, because like a 60 goes like this and is like, oh, hey, I just fit in this space. So it won't be making too many more appearances, but it will make some. Ruh-roh. Okay. So this is all we have left. So I'm gonna get to finishing these bad boys up, and then I'll pull out this. This canoe. Pretty stoked. Yeah. We'll get it out. We'll get it out soon. Sophia Wolfex, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you on here. Anybody jumping in on the R2 for Kuroshiro? Probably not, but I think it's pretty cool. Still waiting for your PC Canoe to come in? Yeah, this is for a client, Disco. I do build some of my own boards here, but like The majority are not mine. The vast majority are not mine. They're for others, which is actually kind of cool for me because I get to test out like everything. So over the last year, what do we built like 70 or 80 boards. Like, it's pretty cool. It's kind of nice. I want to say like 70 or 80 is just kind of a ballpark because for a long time I just did one stream per week, and since like maybe December I've been doing 2 per week, so just wondering when the client got it in the mail. I mean, this has been here for a while. Like, this has been here for at least a couple weeks. My customer builds don't get built right away. Like, I keep a queue that I try and guarantee my customers no more than 1 month turnaround. So, like, you just gotta have a queue, and it's funny because enough people hit me up that I'm lucky to be able to build a queue like that, and it kind of is great. But then having that queue also allows for, like, if a customer doesn't send all the parts, or there's some kind of issue or whatever, for the stream to just absorb the, well, we're gonna move on, and then we'll get to that when everything is here. I mean, I don't know if you're always like, I don't know, different people do it different, for sure. Like, there's some folks like Apiary, right, who just, it's like her full-time gig, so she's just churning them, like, a lot more volume, which is, it's kind of impressive, actually, if I'm being honest. Did you miss some announcement type stuff in Lang's stream? Yeah, you kind of did. There was a video that got posted, and in total noob fashion, we're still figuring it out, right? Because it's kind of new. But the reality is, the announcement was that Langalandia and Tiny Shiny Crumb and I are going to be embarking on an endeavor to start creating more educational Keeb content. All 3 of us have the desire to make educational content, and it won't all be Keeb related, but at first I think it'll be mostly that and adjacent topics, but it'll branch out. So we all want this thing, and it makes sense for us to just kind of combine forces and try and make the best content we can, because we all have slightly different skills. Yeah, I appreciate that. You guys absolutely should subscribe on YouTube. You should absolutely, follow or subscribe or whatever here, and then head over to my socials, and I'll update my socials command to include the Callan Opes YouTube channel. But absolutely, you should subscribe there, because we want to make genuinely good content that connects with you guys. And to that end, if you watch the video, we posted, hey, here's a Google form and here's some ways to reach out to us so that we can get feedback from you on, what else it is you want to see. We have like a list of stuff. Part of it's a list of things that I wanted to work on for a while. Part of it's a list of things that Jeff has and Tiny Shiny Crumb have wanted to. And what we really want to do is just combine that, but also get feedback from you guys. So please. Yeah. So Center Coconut. Yeah, that was the first time we recorded, and that messed up audio is actually kind of my fault. And it literally is just a slider that was too low. But it was also, I think, our first hack at merging multiple audio and video streams together. So we'll get it worked out. It literally will be different on the very, very next video. Like, perfect. We will get it worked out instantly. Mostly because we instantly got it worked out right after that. But we didn't really want to recapture that one because it just kind of embodied exactly what we wanted. It wasn't scripted, it was just us chatting. And we want that. We want to be able to have conversations with you guys. We want to be able to look at you guys and tell you exactly what we want and what we're trying to convey to you. It's better to connect with people, especially when you're trying to educate, than it is to be looking down at, you know, the thing you're doing, like the thing we do on this stream a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I look at you guys, but also I focus. But it's a totally different format, right? Anyway, yeah, let's get these bad boys finished up, which means kind of splitting focus, I guess, for the immediate future. But I definitely want to get this canoe built because it looks, I've played with polycarb canoe before, and man, they're just pretty. They're just pretty boards. Disco, you said you got a polycarb. You know what, man? I never really asked you, like, what are your favorite boards? What's your favorite layout? I don't know, man. I'm curious. I'm curious about everybody's general favorite layouts, but I'm especially curious sometimes about like other personalities that I can connect with on stream. Iriali, thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, Disco, it is a cool lube station. And Shocks, who's in chat, is who made it for me. He actually made me two, and they kind of match the color theme for my stream. There we go. Hold on, and I'll show you the other one, because I believe it's right here. So this is the other one. So if you look, right, you can see it's the same colors, just inverted. This one absolutely gets more use though, because it looks more, because the blue is more prominent. So I know TSC's preferred layout is this one. Yeah, that's kind of fair. I don't know, stuff happening right now kind of has shifted the way we're viewing like convenience and shipping, for sure. Like I wonder if we'll ever go back to 2-day prime shipping and, like, you know, people being truly upset about getting it in 3 or 4 or whatever. Like, I wonder if we've now as a society kind of partially moved beyond that, or accepted that shit happens and you just need to deal with it sometimes. I don't know, I guess some people still just bitch completely. Ooh, TKL and then 65. TKL is definitely really far up there for me. I think 1800 compact is probably there for me, and then maybe full size, and then probably TKL. But I also need my numpad for gaming because I'm a lefty and I learned to not use WASD. I use numpad, so I'm a weirdo, right? But ever since I was a kid, because I didn't want my like the rest of you guys, I didn't want my hands scrunched up, right? Just you guys do things on the other side, so like I don't want them really far apart, I don't want them scrunched up, I just kind of want them neutral. And so 10 key plus left mouse kind of works. Yeah. But with 1800 compact, we get narrow enough that everything still fits on like a full-size desk pad. And by full size, I don't mean like this one. This is an Alioth XL, so it's like extra large. Actually need a new one. This one's gotten pretty beat up from being my solder station. What up, Top Clack? Brian, I presume. What's up, man? How you doing? Don't have an option to be a bitch about slow shipping in Australia. True enough. You guys kind of get the short end of the stick when it comes to slow shipping. But I would imagine shipping from China is pretty good. Oh, what's up, Jay? Man, it's crazy. Some really good folks in here today. So Jay, how do you like that I'm trying to engage with the EU audience? Like, that's partially why I like this time slot that I've been streaming on recently. Right? I think the EU guys need some more love. And maybe not EU anymore, guys. Womp womp. the UK guys and the EU. I know, dude. Sorry, man. I'm just playing with you. Oof, leaving. No, dude. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, come back. No. Oh man. If we can't make fun of ourselves, we can't make fun of ourselves. Oh, Jay's good people, actually. Super good people. One of the best things about going to Seattle, hanging out with that group of people, and specifically meeting Jay, who is a really, really good dude. Although I may have run him off. I don't know, man. So it's funny because I was talking about this yesterday with Mex on Deck, right, on their stream. And I was like, when you go to meetups, and this is the thing I miss most right now, at least in our community. Disco Crocodile, thanks for gifting that tier 1 sub to Top Clack. Appreciate that. But yeah, what I was saying is I really miss that, because what you realize when you go to meetups and you hang out with people is that it's not just a bunch of nerdy cave dwellers who like can't socialize that are into our hobby. It's like genuinely decent folk who, you know, who are absolutely willing and able to connect with you about these things that we like and everything else. This is linked to Brian's bank, so I didn't want to buy a sub and charge his account. Oh, don't worry about it, man. Thank you, though. I understand that. I totally understand that. Mighty nice of you to not run up charges on someone else's account. On someone else's bank account, at least. It was a good few days. So I got a question for you, Jay. Are you planning on going to any other stateside meetups or cons? You know, like KeyCon, maybe. I know it's a giant trek for you. And I have to admit, I might be willing to go to some. Yeah, I thought you were going to go. I thought I saw your name somewhere. But COVID-19, hey man, it's okay. It'll be postponed and we'll do it again. We'll do it somewhere else, some other time. I don't think we're planning on somewhere else, but some other time. Come to NYC. Yeah. Probably not the best time to go to New York, though, if I'm being honest. But when this is mostly behind us, yeah, it really is the middle. Womp womp. Which reminds me, everybody stay safe out there. Everybody stay safe. I'm like somewhat lucky because I have some friends that are nearby that like are also really isolated, with the exception of me. Like, so I get to go over and spend time with like exactly one group of friends. Not group, but like 2 people, 3 people who live together. Kind of nice. Kind of nice. Yeah, we have a huge one in the UK in November. That could actually be really fun, honestly. I'm not opposed at all. But do you stay 6 feet apart? We don't. We don't. We totally don't. And we don't wear masks in front of each other either. But we also all kind of are isolated otherwise. So, I don't know. I think there's some amount, at least for people like me, like I can't not see people at all. But I do try. Otherwise, it's masks all the time and everybody's completely like when in public and only for when you need to. Marius Larson, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Do I lube box switches in Xena? I have lubed box switches for people who wanted lubed box switches. It's one of the few times where I recommend not using greases. So just like light oils. But I think that your results are less good lubing box switches than with standard type stems. That's just my 2 cents though. Okay. So we're done. We're done lubing switches. What lubes are recommended for springs? Ooh, that's like, so here's the deal with lubing, and maybe one of the other couple people that I know, some of you guys lube a lot. I know definitely Jay and Disco lube a lot. So lubing is an art. It's not a science. Like, as much as we want it to be a science, and we can do some empirical comparisons, in general, there's too many factors and too many different preferences for it to be just, oh, objectively this thing is better than this other thing. Oh man, do you really do that many, Jay? 2 case switches a month? That's outrageous. That's so many. That's way more than I do. I hate lubing. I hate lubing switches. Like, yeah, so lubing is an art, right? So what's recommended is totally based on how you're going to apply it and how you've found a method to get really good, consistent results. Some people like doing it with a brush. Some people like tub lubing. Some people like bag lubing, which is basically tub lubing, but with a softer container. There's a lot of preference involved, right? So I personally prefer to use greases for all things, pretty much. I find that they stay consistently in the same spot in the switch better, or at least they yield really consistent results. That's my preference. I pretty much use 205 grade 0 or 3204 for everything. For everything, including stems. And I know including springs. And I know that's super wasteful because I also tub lube. So you're using a lot of lube to get the right amount of lube in the right places on the spring. But it's just a convenience thing for me. Like, I don't care that there's a little extra there. It doesn't impede anything on the spring, and it's faster. Don't say you hate lubing. I bought another board today. I need you to lube some switches, lol. I'm not saying I won't lube switches. I'm just saying it's the only part of building keyboards that I don't actually enjoy. Like, the lubing part is the part that is the least fun. The electronics part I love absolutely to death. And I want the good results, even for my customers' boards. Still want the exact same great results. So lubing is just part of that deal, but I love the building part the most. Absolutely. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Don't say you hate lubing. Oh, can you do some R&D and make a lube bot with different preference algorithms? Ooh, dude, that's the money maker right there. That's the money maker. Line under microscope makes it a way better experience. Lube under, yeah, it does for stabs. It does for stabs. You get a KBD 67 V2 Ooh, did you? All right. All right. Speaking of microscope, I don't know why I didn't turn that on, but that needed to be done. And then there's this one other thing that needed to be done that I didn't do. Okay, now we're done. Sold out in 20 seconds. Was it really? That's outrageous. Wow, that's actually really cool. KBD 67. Okay, that's a great board. That's a great board. I haven't played with the polycarb one, but the board itself was great. But without further interruption, let's get this out. Was your board of the year for 2018? Jeez, really? That's really awesome, man. I don't know if I would personally go there, but it definitely was a great board. Actually, I'm trying to think. I don't remember what I set as board of the year for. Oh, I totally remember what I set as board of the year for 2018. It was HBCP, but. Oh, bang for the buck. Yeah, so bang for the buck. I mean, it was a great board. What else was great? KBD 8X was great. You don't have one? Jay, my man. Maybe I'll have to send one to you for a rebuild. If you don't end up getting one, you keep me in mind and I will make sure that one makes it to you, at least for a rebuild and for you to hang on to for a little while to play with. For real, man. It is a great board. But I have to wait until my second one comes before I would do that. So I'm still waiting actually on my polycarb one. All right. I actually like this board, honestly. Like, it's just, they look good. They're clean. Like, they sound good. I like this board. Although the one that I built before didn't have a polycarb weight in it. So I wonder how that'll change it. How big is the market for building other people's boards? Seems like quite a few do it. Using your PC Canoe right now. How do you like the sound? Because I recall the other one that I built sounding really extraordinarily good. But I'm pretty sure it had the brass weight. I'd have to go look. Yeah, so Bad Mother, I think if you're trying to actively seek out a customer base on a continuous basis, and you're making, like, there's some way for them to engage and see, like, hey, that you're not an idiot, like, you do okay. You'll do okay. Like, you could definitely do more than I do if you want to. And I do two builds per week. Not all of them are customer boards, but the majority are. And I do definitely turn down customers when I hit a full queue, which I try and keep at like a month worth because I don't want it to get really long compared to that. It's not bad with the alu plate, but nicer with the CF plate. Yeah, this is the alu one too, so. I know you're a really big fan of carbon fiber. I like carbon fiber as a plate material. Just for whatever reason, I really like carbon fiber as a plate material, specifically with linears. I don't think it's my favorite plate material by any means anyway, but definitely not with tactiles. Yeah, I really am contemplating rebuilding J01 with like alpacas or something, because it's got Zealios in it and they sound good and it does capture really good sound, but I feel like I could do it better justice with something a little better for it. You like brass, want to try palm and FR4. Palm is a oddly satisfying plastic plate material. I tend not to like plastic plate materials. Any suggestions where to get CF plates cut? I'm pretty sure somebody has one. How's the patina? I'll show it off, man. It's pretty consistent. It doesn't actually get like a ton of use for me. There's like a little bit of dust on the pen rail because of the way it was sitting. So it's pretty consistent. It doesn't get a ton of use. It gets some, but it's pretty clean. I tend to touch it with clean fingers, like freshly washed fingers when I pull it out. This is an exception, I guess. Oh, hold on. Nope. Sorry, penguin droppings. This board is definitely never getting sold. I love this board. The sound is really captivating. The quality that's imparted to it by the way that you designed it, Jay, honestly. Mine is one of the few uncoated ones. Yeah, I like it though. It may get coated one day. I mean, I have a sandblasting cabinet. Like if I didn't like the patina on it, or it started getting really uneven, I would just like literally sandblast the brass. I mean, it's totally doable. Yeah, it's simple. Like because I have the equipment to do it, especially makes it really, really not scary. All right. So we'll get started. We'll get started with this. Dude, it's a great board. That is a fantastic board. I really like how it looks, but the footprint would be a deal breaker for you. So it is literally the exact same width, and it is taller than HBCP. So it is a very large board. Ooh, did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that comment that he just made it? That's gonna make so many people happy, Jay. I have had so many people hit me up about like how I like it. So I like this. This is so important. Jay, Disco, I don't know how you guys feel about this in the real world, but I hate that basically all boards that run QMK especially come and only the red LEDs come on when they have RGB. Like, give me some kind of rainbow effect so that I can tell straight out of the box that every PCB or that every LED's red, green, and blue segment actually works. It's not a big deal with this board, but I'm trying to think, like E6.5, a lot of people had problems with those lights under the sides. I mean, I dealt with it on more than one board. So, like, it's just nice to see. Headphone Beats, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Also, screen printing on the board. Yeah, on this board, it doesn't matter, right? Because look, look at what we got. But yeah, screen printing, when you have like multiple stabilizer locations and a bottom row with a lot of support, like just show me exactly what this position is for. Like even I have a hard time remembering sometimes, and I build a fair number of boards. TSC, it shows you as a new sub. What's going on there? What's going on there? That's weird. I didn't get the alert in my alert feed. Thank you for converting from a Twitch Prime sub to a tier 1 sub. all right. So let's test this out. That's what I wanted to actually do. and then we'll get to building. All right, some switch hitter action going. I know there's a bunch of different kind of switch hitting option test or switch testers. Do you guys have a favorite that's different than switch hitter? Switch hitter is definitely the one that I've been going to for quite a while now. So Jay, I gotta say, my favorite feature of J01 is definitely the pen rail itself. Like, I really, really love that there's a pen rail. And I love that you're bringing it back. Like, I need more boards to have pen rails. Ooh. What's that? Oh, we experienced this once before with a canoe, actually, where like these things are so sensitive, like the connections are so sensitive that you get multiple actuations. I think the other canoe that I used had exactly that problem, like where literally my body was acting like a short circuit for them. Like, that's how sensitive they are. Super weird. Super weird. Yeah. So it is shorting out, but it's me that's shorting it out, Jay. I've seen exactly this thing with one of these before. Like, here, let me put it on a silicone mat or on something that could not possibly have anything conductive to it. And I'll show you, I'll redo the test without touching. Like, they're that sensitive to continuity. It took me a while to figure it out when I did it too. It was like, oh, it helps if I'm here. Let me reset it. I remember this exact thing. So here, I'll make sure not to touch with my hands. Thank you so much, Himans. Thank you so much for that follow. Appreciate that. I don't remember where we were. Yeah, so if I'm really careful not to touch my fingers to any of the other contacts, we find that it doesn't do that, I bet. I forgot that these did that. It's just wild, like, how sensitive they are. I've never seen another PCB like that. So note to all the rest of you who build one of these, that's a thing. Nerd Diversion, thanks for that follow. Appreciate that. There we go. Is your finger? Yeah, it was. Managed to secure KBD 67 this morning. Sold out literally in seconds. Sad day, man. Sad day. It would be nice if all the boards could be available anytime somebody wanted them, but I will say that is probably an unrealistic goal for products that cost so much to manufacture, especially relative to what they're sold for. Like, only OEMs could afford to pull that off, to float the capital. And in order to do so, they would have to raise the price pretty high compared to the actual manufacturing cost. It would be prohibitive. Unfortunately. Yar. See, there we go. Without touching anything, we are fine. But if we start like touching stuff, right, we'll get it to short again. 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 right? So it's literally like if I touch those contacts right there, even if I don't press down hard. Weird, huh? Weird, guys. It happens. How many stabs does a normal 60% use? So if you're doing standard ANSI or ISO, ANSI or ISO or ISO, whatever. Drive people crazy with that. You need 5 for a 60, or for a TKL for that matter. ANSI. Super hard to balance in this market. Yeah. The supply does actually get bigger. It just isn't keeping pace quite with what demand has. But it's actually, I don't know, maybe that's not even true either. Like there was exclusivity to boards before. It's not like brand new. Does someone have the reference of the LED on the PCB? No joke, Disco. No joke. Yeah, I mean, there really aren't a lot of options with this board. There's pretty much just like, do you want step caps or not? That is all. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jay. It just isn't feasible at all. Boom. Like these are our options. I guess there is an ISO option, right? You could do ISO. That's it. Literally all of your options are do you want ISO? Actually, hold on, looking at this, I kind of don't understand. You can't do ISO either, not with this PCB. Like if you look at it, you can't. You don't have a switch position there, and you don't have stabilizer cutouts in the appropriate places. So I guess the plate supports ISO, but that's it. Step caps. The only I offer ISO on the, okay, I didn't know that actually. I didn't recall that at all. Yeah, I was like, the plate does, but definitely the PCB doesn't. Anyway, all right, we're gonna get to lumen stabilizers, guys. The most fun part, maybe the part where microvision comes out, because we're using Zeals and it's really easy to show off exactly what we're doing. So the one thing we are gonna do, I guess we aren't gonna do. Like, why aren't there bump-ons? There's no bump-ons. Didn't remember that either. I know everybody likes the microvision. That's okay. I like it too. It's one of my favorite things we do here. Mm-hmm. Somebody wants to ping that microscope command, then you guys can get a microscope too, if you're so inclined. This is not particularly useful. Watching it this way is not particularly useful on a screen, I think, but it has a screen right here which is off because there's HDMI plugged in, but super useful if you're like doing really small soldering work. Is that PCB hot swap? It is not hot swap, my friend. And I'm happy. I don't like hot swap that much. Like, I think it is overrated. And I guess if you don't have the ability to desolder stuff, like if you don't have a desoldering pump, like an automated one, I totally understand you wanting to have hot swap for the sake of breaking things in or testing or whatever. But if you're deep into the hobby and you're building a lot of keyboards, even if you don't have a desoldering gun or like automated pump, Hot swap just isn't that great. Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. I mean, I wanted to get a compound stereo microscope, and they're not even that much more expensive. The deal is they have to be mounted really solidly, and they take up a lot of space, like a lot of real estate. So, like, I wanted one, but I wasn't willing to get it. They make arms that are articulating that hang, which would be great for my setup with the gantry. These are Zeal stabs, but they're Zeal stabs that came from Drop. Customer bought them from Drop, even sent me the link. But I agree with you, Disco, and there are actually less expensive options that just have a smaller screen, but functionally are the same camera. Like the ADS 301, I think it's called. The ADSM 301. Whatever. And if you're not going to use a screen, like I'm not, then you probably don't need to spend more. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on Zeal stabs? I think they are functionally identical to the Duroc stabs. I have basically the exact same experience with them. I'm definitely willing to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And I'm definitely willing to, again, show off what the actual differences are under microscope. Under the microscope. Actually, we're not there yet. We will be soon. Because I have some Durocs here. I know that we've shown that off once or twice on this stream, briefly, but they look basically exactly the same under a microscope. There is one notable way to tell a difference visually if you can look very close. Like absolutely easy way, and it has to do with the metal screw-in insert and how many teeth there are and how sharp the teeth are. So that's a way to tell. If I'm correct, I think there's it looks like less and they're sharper teeth on the insert itself on the Duroc stab. Okay, so that's actually the thing I dislike too, because look at what I'm doing right now. But I understand. They're not in separate packages. It's easy for shipping and stuff, and I feel like it's not that big of a deal to just take them out for most people. But I do agree, because I do it frequently, it does bug me too. And I like that they're all separated by piece, because with Durocs, I always buy like the giant kit from KP Republic or whatever, or a bunch of them at a time, and I really do kind of want to store the wires and the inserts and the guides separately. Like, and I buy all sorts of colors and stuff, you know, so you're like, I just want to keep the plastic bits that are colored together with each other, and then I want to keep the wires as one giant mass of wires. Yeah, there ain't no win in here. There isn't. Like I said before, lubing is the least fun part about builds. And it's funny because even though it slows the process down when we do this thing under the microscope, it brings the fun back for me, because I'm making sure that you guys are learning something and not just watching me lube stabilizers. Right? So for me, that definitely makes it a better experience. Nerd Vision, did I miss you following? Thank you. Sorry if I did. Okay, now let's get some locking tweezers to make this easy. All right, So here you guys go. This is how I tell the difference between Zeal and Durox. I'll pull out a colored Durox stab just to show you what I mean. Right? So we'll grab a purple one from Novelties. Make this pretty simple. Grab another set of tweezers, locking tweezers. Okay, so these are Durox. The clear are Zeals and the purple are Durox, right? And you can tell that those teeth look like they engage deeper into the plastic and like they have more of a bite, so a sharper edge to them. And I think if you count them, there's a different number of them, but it doesn't really matter that much. 1 kilogram. Yeah, there ain't no one. Is that is a 0.5 kilogram tub, so I ordered 2 of those a while back, and we're about halfway through with the first one. So yeah, so that there is the difference. So in general, though, they look the same otherwise. I mean, you can see that there's a Z on this one, on that guy over there. So you have some tool markings like stamps, and those don't exist here. There's a 3 over here, and you don't have that over here. There are differences, but if you look at these dimensions, they look pretty much identical. If you look like where the wire insert goes on both of them, it looks pretty much the same. Like, I can't tell the difference. It's hard to... There you go. The Zeal one has maybe just a little bit more of a point on its hook, but otherwise they're pretty much the same. Yeah, I don't think there's a functional difference. The diameter even looks exactly the same internally. I guess we do have the tools to measure that. We're not going to measure that. It doesn't matter. Some people report that they've had issues with Zeal wires popping out. I've seen that one time, but I've also seen other wires pop out. So I can't anecdotally say that it's more common or likely with Zeal stabs. I just know that people report that. But could be the hype. You find the QC better on Zeals. Sometimes the Duroc ones can come with front clips damaged. So I don't know if it's still around, Jay, but I agree with you. I may have tossed it. So I had one Duroc that came and it was missing this insert altogether, and it wasn't able to accept an insert because the plastic plug hadn't been removed from that hole. And so it literally, you could tell there's a process where they injection mold the whole thing as one piece, and then they punch that hole out there, and then they insert the stab, or the I don't even know what to call that. The screw in insert. The captive nut. There we go. The captive nut. And it was missing it, and they don't send you extras, so literally I just got burned for a stab, which would have been a big deal if I bought exactly the set I needed, but because I buy extras, it was fine. So I agree with you. I've never ever, and I bought a lot of Zeal stabs, and I've had customers that have bought a lot of Zeal stabs. I've never ever seen that with a Zeal stab. And maybe that's the argument to screw in the little insert for Zeal. Maybe that's why he does it. I don't know. Food for thought, right? But they're 95% the same, if not more. Yeah, they're really close, man. You've had Zeal wire pop out, but it was because I was rough housing the shit out of the stab. I don't think it would happen. Yeah, that was my experience too, by the way. It was on my Rukia, and I was just like, for sound, you know what I mean? Just like going at it, and it was like, pink. It's like, well, I guess I get to take this apart. So, I mean, yeah, that's my experience too, man. That is it. I have had customers send them to me though, which hurts. I even made a YouTube video, like, and posted it direct to a customer, like, privately, like, on how to fix exactly his problem. Like, I recreated the problem on my own board and fixed it so that he could see exactly how to fix it, because I didn't want him to send me a board, pay that shipping both directions, pay me, you know, some nominal small charge, but like, I didn't want that. But it happens. Remove, then replace the space bar a few times to see if the wire pops out before you solder everything in. Yeah, absolutely. That's I do that anyway. I don't do it a few times, but I do test with a stab on. Anyway, we're going on a while now. I've been lagging, you know, like we do on my stream sometimes. Sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna show off how we lube these, bad boys. Okay, so I'll do at least a couple on stream so you guys know exactly what's up. Gotta shoot, man. Prep for your own build. Absolutely, man. Take it easy and see you soon, man. Much love back. Okay, so we take a dollop of our lube here, right? It's a little bit different under microscope, but we're gonna smear it with our little tool. And if you see, there's like a little hair there. That's disappointing. I'll get it. It's a tiny little piece of fuzz. Okay. Anyway, back in there. Right, and then we smear it all over the housing. We want it to be nice and uniform, pretty even, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Everybody strives for perfection, but here the insert's actually going to be going up and down, plunging in and out, and it's going to kind of smear it around a little bit on its own. I mean, I wouldn't just like blob it in one area, but if it looks even between the sides, that's probably fine. Right, and if we look at this, we've got some on that side, we've got some on that side, we've got some on that back surface, and we're pretty good. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we'll do the next one, and so on and so forth. So like I said, we'll do a couple here just to show you guys what's up. What's up, Og Doubles? How you doing? You saw the Calanopes episode, you're liking it. Racing Giraffe, yeah. I think our somebody commented on it a little earlier. Our audio levels were off, and that's totally my fault for how we captured it, but I think you guys got the point, and we figured out how to fix that instantly. So we will do that for all of our produced content. But if you guys have ideas for things you definitely want to see, send them to us, because we want to do educational content that's related to the things that you guys want to know about. Right, so got an even coating there. We're gonna go over, we're gonna start doing more. I'll do one more of these under microscope, then I'll do the insert and then a wire, so you guys kind of know what's up. Right, okay. There's maybe a little bit too much there. Okay. Great. So we get pretty even coatings here. See, the sides are pretty evenly coated. Now, if you notice, for anybody that's watched my stuff before, maybe we're going a little bit lighter than we did before. So we're doing 65 gram zeals today. And generally speaking, you don't want to, especially on that space bar and on all the stabilized switches, you don't want to add too much more resistance. You want to add enough lube to damp the sound, but you don't want to impede the motion of the actual switch, right? So we're actually going a little bit lighter than we do sometimes. So I guess you guys are getting a little bit of an advanced course now. Because we definitely don't want to over lube. Okay. Next, we're going to take this guy and we're going to take a slightly smaller dollop of lube, but still a bit, right? You don't want to fill the entire hole, but you do want it to go in there, right? So then we're going to go straight in here. Okay. Now you notice you can still see through that hole, but there's lube all over there, coating the surface. Perfect, right? Now we're going to take this bit, the side that has two obvious holes in the front, right? We're going to stick the wire in going this direction, so that the wire has the ability to go backward on that ramp or straight through the hole, right? So it's important to note that this side goes toward the front, right? So we're going to take these two bits, we're going to go boop, straight in there, right? Because that one's lubed. Set this guy off to the side for 1 sec. Jessup, where did I buy that microscope? What's it called? Hit that microscope command and you will find all the details that are relevant for you to purchase one yourself. Didn't notice that. Racing giraffe, can't wait for more. There will be more. OG doubles, super helpful, thanks man. Depper, do you need to reapply lube over time? So technically the answer is probably yes, but it'll last years if you do it right. So you don't really need to do it like in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this, right? Get some lube on this. I'm gonna take a fairly large dollop. We're gonna apply lube to the wire up past the little elbow. Right, you'll notice that it's fairly even. Right, fairly. And then we're gonna take this guy again. Right, okay. I'm gonna go in here. Maybe I can show this on video fairly well. Maybe not. It's a little harder than it looks to line all of this up. Right, oop. So there we go. Now with Zeal stabs, this can be kind of tough because the hole on the insert is actually fairly tight. So we're gonna, there we go. Took a little bit of force to get it to slide in there. Right, perfect. Now as I move the wire, the insert goes up and down, and that's perfect. Right. Such technique. Yeah, sorry guys, it's under the microscope is actually a lot tougher than it looks to line all that up. But you guys get the point, right? So we've walked over that. I'm going to set the microscope off to the side a little bit because it's much faster to do this without it. But I think you guys get the idea. I think I got to go a little thicker with Krytox on your stabs. I also got to try adding some bottom insert hole to the bottom insert hole. Usually just apply lube to the wire, but I imagine doing this helps rattle proof it. Yeah, so Disco, for me, it's really just about technique, right? I watch people do it one way versus the other. Some people put a lot more lube on the wire and that's how it gets into the insert. This is where I go back to, it's an art, not a science. This part is, at least. I'm all about the science. Obviously, we show this under a microscope, and I'm about making it as objective as we can, but because it's not an inherently objective thing, it just is what it is. Import Shark 80, thank you so much for those 100 bits. I really appreciate that. This is a good time for me to remind you guys, if any of you guys aren't already following or subbed, you know, consider going up there and doing that. We can keep in touch. And then, you know, ping the rest of those socials and consider doing the same. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, etc. I promise I don't send a ton of things out all the time, and it's really only ever relevant to, hey, we're gonna stream, or we streamed this and here's some extras from it, like a sounds test or whatever. Like, it's not a ton of stuff that nobody wants to see. Okay, put it back together. Just because this one's already here, we'll lube this wire. I don't know, man. If you're getting good rattle-proof stabs straight out of the box, I think, or straight out, not straight out of the box, but like the way you're doing it already, it's not necessarily worth changing your technique. It is good to grow and like learn new stuff, but I don't know. Once you find the way that works for you guys, I recommend that you actually kind of stick with that, for the most part. Like, it's always, like I said, it's always good to learn new stuff, and you should. But also, with stab lubing, like, the results that, if you're getting the results you like, just, you found it. You killed it. For me, that's this way. What's going on? I am Red Jive. You have been having so much trouble with tuning the right hand side of your spacebar. It's so weird because sometimes you can hear a rattle and sometimes you can't. Oh, well, maybe there is a little bit of extra lubing that needs to be done there. And you're using Durox stabs? I know I've seen you with Durox on your actual stream before, so if that's your go-to and you're finding problems with them, that's yeah, maybe changing it up a little bit will work. So I do in fact agitate this lube up every now and then because it's such a big container. I do like pull a new one of these out and just a bunch, because they do separate just a tiny little bit. And if you have boards that sit for a really long time, guys, you might want to actuate them a bunch for a little bit just to kind of make sure everything is as homogenized as it needs to be. Yeah, so back to what Depper29 said, right? He said something about, do they need to be re-lubed or lube added or whatever over time, right? And so yes, they do, but it's partially a result of the ingress of dust into the equation. So if you use like a cover or something over your boards, or put them in a case when they aren't in use, the amount of time goes down. It depends on what you lube with also. So this is really important to note, because some people recommend lubing with dielectric grease, or fluoro, finish line fluoro and dielectric grease, or whatever. And I recommend against those things because those things dry out inherently over time. So dielectric grease is not a PTFE grease, right? It's a petrochemical that is volatile. So it, at least partially volatile. Well, I mean, it is volatile. It's not heavily volatile, but it is to some extent. So it will eventually dry out. The type of lube that we're using here, this is Chemours Krytox, made by DuPont. Right, it's Krytox 205 grade 0. It's a PTFE suspension in a grease that is truly homogeneous, at least when it comes out. So there is an oil separation that can occur, but it's very mild, and it immediately goes back to homogenized thing once you like just mix it up a little bit, right? So I would recommend using this 205 grade 0 for stab work, and exclusively as a result of that. It doesn't really dry out. Now, it can have dust that penetrates into it, and then it will become gritty and clogged. I don't know, coagulate with the dust. That's why you would need to replace this lube. It's viscous enough, and it's viscous enough that it won't really move around. The consistency is like applesauce, kind of, at least of grade 0. So yeah. How much does a tub go for? Define tub. Like this tub? Or like a tub that you can regularly order. Like this is 3204, but Crailbit sells these at SwitchMod keyboards for I don't know, like $12 or $15 or something. Maybe it's $8. I don't really know. Yeah, I think it's like $12 or $13 shipped. This tub, it was like $460, I want to say, for 2 of these. But it's very difficult to get them in this quantity. The distributors mostly don't want to deal with you. One, you'll have to have a business license and a fictitious big business name. You'll it's a whole process, and then they will try very hard not to sell you specifically this kind of lubricant, because it's so expensive and so hard to get, even for them, that they're not gonna give it to you properly. Racing Giraffe, thank you so much for those 25 bits. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you, TSC, for putting SwitchMod up there. Crailbit's a good guy. I like Crailbit. I don't think it's that he's actually sold out. I think it's that he's trying to avoid everything during the crisis. I thought that I read something about that somewhere. Like, he just doesn't want to start shipping a bunch of stuff out, which is fair, right? He's trying to do his part. It's not an essential service or good, so I applaud him. All right, all those are done. We'll get to these. But you can get bulk. Yeah, so don't do that thing that you're talking about. You're talking about, and I can't remember their name. I'd have to look it up. From the other distributor, from the Malaysian distributor. I have received Crytox, quote unquote Crytox, from them, and I would not be surprised if they doctored it. It always comes like chunky and separated and weird from them, and it doesn't ever seem to go back into suspension correctly. I have a feeling that what they're selling is not 100% good. I forget their name. If somebody says it, I will instantly recognize it, though. I actually have some that I could show you, but don't use it. Don't use them. For the love of all things, do not use them. Yeah, I would avoid them. He's limited, I think, to 50 orders a day. Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, I don't know what they do, Racing Giraffe, but it's super gross. So the US, the North America distributor is Miller Stevenson. But again, they're not gonna sell it to you if you aren't a business, and even then, they're gonna give you a really hard time when you contact them. They did with me. You really did not want to sell it. And by the way, the MOQ for this lube is 11 kilograms. So let's break that down for a second. That's like $4,000 or $5,000 in lube. No, I didn't flex any status. They don't know who the fuck I am. They don't care. Yeah. Yeah, they don't give a crap about me. So yeah, the NA distributor no, in my case they had fulfilled another order near the same time. And so they were willing to do, because it's the MOQ for them is 11 kilograms, and they don't bank it because it doesn't sell a lot. So, but their minimum order quantity is 11 kilograms. So generally speaking, if you're not looking to buy at least 11 kilograms of this stuff, they don't want to deal with you. All of these things that I'm talking about are just going to the fact that you guys should actually just buy it from Krailbit online on his web store when it's available. Also, his supply is totally limited by the fact that the manufacturer only produces so much of it, and on an as needed per case basis. That's literally how they make it. At least grade 0. Grade 2 they make all day. But grade 0 has very limited applications. And it's usually in food production industry or in medical field. And so what they do is they those customers are just willing to buy 11 kilograms at a time, and they're willing to wait 6 weeks, which also that's the lead time is like 6 weeks. So when you order it, it's also going to take like 6 weeks. Yeah, you just buy through Krailbit. It only makes sense if you're using a ton of it like I am to try and buy like your own quantity of it, because I don't want to be beholden to someone else's supply chain. I just want to have enough to not have a problem. TSC, you can order 205 grade 0 in a 55 gallon drum. You can. And I'm sure somebody does order it that way. Can you post a link for... Yeah, post links. We're good, man. You're not doing weird... You're not posting crappy things in my Discord. I'm not worried. Or in my Twitch. I'm not worried about it. But I appreciate you asking. I do. Okay. Oh, you did order from them. Keygem, how are they? Was it fast shipping? Were they in stock? How do they do their business? Never ordered anything from them before. I guess it would kind of make sense. Ooh, Spare Cash. Thank you for that sub, man. I really appreciate that Prime sub. Appreciate it, man. I really, really do. Oh, no. I got lube on my hands. It was gross. So that's the grossest part about dealing with this stuff, is it gets on your fingers. And it's a Teflon based lube. And it's a grease. So it's like just in there. Jessup, you don't want to throw any shade on Switch Mod. But I do want to say that the only way to get a hold of him if there's a problem with an order is through Discord. Doesn't reply to emails, which is a bummer, sure. Personally, you prefer to order from Zeal, and his delivery is a few days, completely reliable and responds to emails within a day. Bought switches, stabs, and lube from Zeal and never had a problem. I like Zeal. Look, man, I like Zeal as a vendor. I think they're great. I think he does a great job. But everything on Zeal's website is very pricey. You are paying a premium, especially for these stabs. This is probably the part that I have the hardest time swallowing, even though I have a ton of Zeal stabs on hand, literally right now. I don't know. Sometimes you get what you pay for, but sometimes you pay a little too much for what you get. I think Zeal definitely tries to ride the line and charge as much for his products as he reasonably can get for them. So it's definitely a case where he's trying to maximize the return to his business. And sometimes I think business relationships need a good business relationship. A good agreement is where everybody feels like they are making out in the deal, right? Where everybody's desires and needs are being looked after. I don't know what Zeal's supply chain costs look like, but I would say that his profit margins are probably a little bit too high. And that's obviously true in many cases, especially stabilizers probably at the top of the list, because there are people that are not cloning him, but effectively making the same product and walking away and making money still and selling at half of his prices. They do run a fantastic company, and I'm not hating on it at all. Oh, you're talking about TKC. So I think TKC, I have mixed feelings, right? I really like TKC. I really like a lot of the products they sell. I really like a lot of the stuff. I think that I would like to see slightly better communications from them. In terms of exactly how things are going, but more specifically, exactly what's coming up and when. Because I want to plan. I want to plan my purchases, right? I want to know exactly when a set is going to be available. I want to know what they know, when they know it, about when the sets are going to ship in group buys and stuff like that. I'm not saying they do a bad job. I am saying that I think there's an area for improvement, but I do actually like buying from them. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I've never met Jason. I've never really talked to him significantly or anything. I think he seems like a nice enough dude. And I'd be more interested in meeting him and discussing and figuring out where they're at and where they're going. They definitely got, $819 of my money last month. Toward key sets. a lot of money. You've been trying to get some 3203, but it seems like they to be sold out and shipping is too explosive. I think let's wait till 1UP keyboards is back open. I liked 1UP keyboards, by the way. Don't mind paying extra for great service with speedy delivery, but that's my personal choice. I don't have many problems as you own your own business, so personally, you're after good service. I actually agree, though, to some extent, right? Sometimes you just want good service, and you're willing to pay for it. I think a big issue with Lubes specifically, especially Krytox and Trebosis, is the industry they're made to service and the pricing structure and the production quantities, and those aren't really something you can come without just buying so much that you're sitting on a huge pile of stock. So if you wanted to buy $50,000 worth of lube, you could do that, and you probably wouldn't run out for a while. But you'd have to have that capital to do it. And I just don't think a lot of these people are willing to invest that kind of capital in it, because they don't see fast enough or high enough return, especially when it's a fairly labor intensive thing to take a tub like this, because this is how they come, unless you order 10 kilograms. I think it comes in a very large pail at that point. Either way, generally speaking, you're doing all of the separation into vials or containers. You're sourcing those containers, you're doing all that, and the profit margin I think Crail is making is pretty reasonable. So I mean, this stuff is a little over 2 milligrams per milliliter. So you could do the math and figure out that this half kilogram tub or whatever right here that costs $230 or something like that, you could figure out the per milliliter cost, but then you can figure out what it costs to go buy those little containers and the labor of separating it. It's disco, yeah. So I think so 205, there's slightly different mass per volume for the different kinds, so I'm going off of one or the other. I can't really remember, but yeah, 1.9, that might be right, and it depends on the temperature. Its density changes a little bit. For the record, Joseph, you shipped something to the US from Germany and it didn't move for 43 days. Wink wink. I know, man, sorry. Feels bad. South Africa, a SmithWad order took 5 months. 6 Zeal orders never waited more than 5 days. Wow. Okay, so 5 months is unreasonable. Can't wait for minimal R2. Yeah, okay, so Pleasant. I see what you're saying. Okay. All right, dude. I ordered 2 sets of Black Lotus. One of them was full set. I ordered one of the desk mats. I ordered grain and the extended kit. Zeal is based in Toronto, or not Toronto, Vancouver, Canada. Yeah, Disco. I don't think he's making a shit ton of profit, to be honest. He's making profit. But I don't think his margins are really high. All right. Let's get these stabilizers in. So customer said, I want band-aids if it needs band-aids. I built one of these before and it did not need band-aids. I am not going to put band-aids on this unless you customer are actually here and really want it, because you did say if it needs it, and I'm positive that this board sounded fantastic. At least the last one I built. It was slightly different. It had a brass weight. I don't remember which plate it had in it, but generally befuddled spork. Yeah, I don't know, man. If you know you want them, I'll put them on there, but you're using Zealios. You're not trying to go silence and go super silenced board. Yeah, I would not, personally. Been following the industry since the beginning of the year. Haven't been able to get yourself into the idea of a group buy yet. Shred Major, dude, I understand. But if you don't go in for a group buy, you have 2 other options for buying premium boards. Some more premium than others, and let me explain. If you're not willing to go in on a group buy for anything, you get appreciate it, befuddled spork. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. If you don't get into group buys, you only have a couple options, right? You can go on to Mech Market, which is the secondary market for keyboard stuff, and you can buy at fairly exaggerated prices. Now, you won't be getting the things that are hyped right now. You'll be getting the things that were in group buy and already are arriving or maybe have been around for a while, but you're at the whim of the market. You're not going to find exactly what you're looking for. You're just going to find exactly what's available right now. And you will be paying a minimum of about 30% more, generally speaking, on the secondary market. You may be, if you want something very premium, paying double or triple its initial cost. But you won't be waiting. But these are already fairly expensive things, so it's pricey. So the other option you have, and it's limited, but it is a real option, is you go to KBD Fans, or you go to Percent, maybe. You go to places like this where something is just actually in stock, and you buy that. Now you're going to be limited to, like, do you want a tofu 60 or 65? Do you want to buy something from KP Republic? Don't buy things from them. Right? Do you want to buy maybe one of these? This is actually a pretty good board, but it's one of the exceptions, right, to the rule that only slightly lesser premium things are available. There are a couple other times where that's available, and that'll be when you find extras. So, like, if you found an extra set for KBD 8X Mark II, for instance, great, right? Great. You'll find an extra set. Why did I lube that? That is not required. I forgot. We're only using 4, but don't worry, I lubed 5. Yeah, so those are really your options, man. I personally am willing to do the GB thing, but I understand, because I also had a hard time that first time, and I got relatively burned on my first group buy. So when I went on my first group buy, my very first group buy experience was, I got in on, what is it that I got in on? I got in on, oh man, you guys are gonna laugh at me, Cura Hot Swap. It turned out it was a giant pile of shit. Feel free to go on my YouTube channel and search for Cura Hot Swap and watch my review. But I stand by that it was a giant pile of shit. I guess I'm more harsh on it now than I was in that review. I do. It's not The Verge. I know what you're saying. Yeah, this is from Bitwit, but yes, it is a reference to Screw with Confidence. I love that you got that. Well, so here's the deal, right, with the group buy thing. These businesses are making a profit, but these are incredibly expensive items that are bespoke, and there's a lot of risk involved, a lot more than normal. Sometimes group buys aren't run through vendors. I do agree that when the vendors get large enough to be able to bankroll the capital portion of this, they shouldn't run as group buys. I just want to buy in-stock items. We just aren't there yet, size-wise, as a community. None of the vendors are that big yet. Now, they are making money, and they aren't going to be incentivized to move to that in-stock model for quite some time. Maybe ever, if we keep allowing it, but I still don't, they just aren't where they need to be for that. I mean, yeah, but Drop is always wrong about their shipping. That's the thing. I've been waiting for MT3 Susu Watari, which was supposed to ship in June of last year. That's the exception to the rule, but I've also been waiting on DCS Yuri, which was estimated to ship like last month or something. I mean, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. Other vendors estimate shipping much better even than they do. Plus, there are some of these vendors that are actually known to be reputable. Like, they've definitely delivered things either on time or very close to on the original predicted schedule. And they keep you up to date about what's going on. Stash, thank you so much for that host, man. I appreciate that. I really, really do, man. 10-person raid. Welcome everybody from Stash's stream. I hope you guys had a great build over there. I hope that Stash was having a great day and making great content for you guys, like he does. So Shred Major, I totally agree, but we're just not there yet. And I don't see us getting there all that soon. Not with the amount of capital expenditure that's required for some of these. The only people that will be able to do that are people that follow the model like Key Cult, where they start manufacturing on their own. And that's actually the way I want to see it go anyway. There are some people that have their own milling machines. Salvin CNC does. I don't know if it's public knowledge, so I'm not going to announce someone else, but there is someone else that has one, a VMC. Anyway, yeah, that's my take on it, man. So Jessup, you said something about Rama. You're waiting for Rama M65Bs. Hope you're not going to be disappointed. Ordered them in October 2019. Rama makes good stuff and delivers pretty well. Haha, add like at least 3+ months to the drops estimate. Absolutely, man. Urban Lime, even with huge buys, there are issues like how the KBD-8X Mark II or the original factory messed up and ghosted. That's true. Racing Giraffe, yeah, they were having issues with the Legends on MT3 Susuwatari. I understand. Do modding stabs with band-aids make them more squishy? We're gonna do it, but heard downsides. There are downsides. Yes, it can make them more muted. It can make them more squishy a little bit depending on how you lube them. I think the biggest drawback is that something could eventually go wrong with the band-aid itself and it could get balled up under there and cause problems. Or some of the lube could migrate and cause the bottom of the stabilizer to stick a little bit, have a little bit of stiction at the bottom. What's up, Stash? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Tunvan, you join HMKB in plastic. Who runs the GB is super informative and transparent. Mainly the reason why you joined in. That's an important one. Pre-ordering game though. More opportunities for extras. Shred, you're totally right, man. There's plenty of opportunities for extras. Riven Blade, I heard you have a CNC machine in your mansion mind making case. I don't have a mansion for sure. And I don't have a CNC machine, but I would like to have one. It's definitely a goal, a life goal. Pleasant, doesn't Rama take like forever? They can take a while to build stuff, yeah. I wouldn't say forever, and they make really good quality things. Very consistent quality. Trainer, same thing with your M65B, delayed until July due to COVID. TSC, doing great, how are you? Yeah. Just got some fantastic news. Did you really, TSC? Great. Glad to hear that. I'm Red Drive. Yeah, so I guess the deal is we're going to be stuck with group buys for quite some time. This is not changing. If you're not comfortable going in on group buys, then the secondary market, if you want premium stuff, is really your place. Because of the way the secondary market has worked for about the last year, you're gonna pay premiums to do it that way. Don't get me wrong, I do that sometimes. I buy things on the secondary market every now and then. I buy extras sometimes, like B stock, whatever you can get for whatever thing it is you want, right? Okay, so I think somebody in here asked, hey, can you pop off a stab and can you put a keycap on a few times with switches? And I think the answer is yes. So I don't know what set we're going to test this with. It's polycarb. I'm going to give what options am I going to give you guys? What options am I going to give you guys? 8008. I don't have that peaches and cream yet. I wish I did, because I'd show you guys. Um, Let me look. Let me look. No 8008. I'm not doing that one. It's in there, but I'm not doing it. These are your options today. GMK Minimal, GMK 9s, GMK Olive. You guys decide and you let me know, TSC. I know you got this. He loves hand or bite. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do 8008. We're gonna do minimal. This is what I'm gonna test with at least. Olive and 9s. Okay, so we'll test this out, guys. You guys said you wanted to see me pop the stabs on and off a few times. And I can do that for you. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay. So we'll get to see if these work out really well. What color? Yeah, it's polycarb. Ooh, I like that. You guys can probably hear it through the table, which is gonna give you a false impression, but okay. So you guys ready? I'll pop them off a couple times. Boom, done. Boom, done. Boom, done. Boom, done. Well, the switch came up that time, but it's also not soldered in, right? So I don't know who asked for that, but here we're doing it. Boom, done. Right? We didn't have any wires popping out. I think we're good. I am going to put my vote in. Wow, strong lead, guys. Strong lead. Okay, so we know that these work, right? We're familiar. We know that our stabilized caps function. Now we're gonna get this plate on, start soldering in some switches, boys and girls. I'm gonna rely on TSC to keep track of those votes. You let me know who won at the end of that timer. We don't need this microscope, I don't think, anymore today. Don't need this. We do need these. Don't need that. It's their new show. Anna likes thick. You love me some olive. Good. Minimal is a beautiful set. It's one of my least favorite of the monochromes, of the monochromatic sets, probably. But it's just because it's too much white, not enough black. But like white on black, on the other hand, is like my favorite. We don't need all of those, but whatever. Yeah, whatever. Okay, boom, here we go. Start getting these in. What's my favorite monochromatic set? Ooh, definitely white on black. Like, without any doubt, it's white on black. White on black is my favorite actual set. Period. The end. Befuddled Spork. Calling you in, man. I know you're watching. Do you want stepped caps or not? Why does this not want to go in to this? Wait. Oh, that was really tight. I agree with the get stepped, but you know, we let people make choices here. And maybe you have a set where you don't have stepped caps. That's always possible. Man, this pleat is like extra tight. So if you guys are building one of these, I would definitely recommend making sure your switch pins are straight and then putting some of these switches in advance. Especially if you're using a semi-flexible plate material or a fully flexible plate material, like this one. Aluminum is semi-flexible. Yeah, Holy Pandas would be like extraordinarily tight in here. Extraordinarily. Declutch04, you've been trying to find a keycap set for a 60% burgundy cased build. Few recommended Red Samurai, and then yesterday you found GMK Bingsu, GMK Perestroika. Don't ask me to spell that. Go on to it isn't out yet, and burgundy just went through a round 3, so it also will be relatively hard to find right now, but will drop on Mech Market a bunch at some point. Yeah, Hamon didn't sell for very much on the secondary market right at first. I don't know if it is now. I do not know what its current status is. Oh, I'm actually putting a fair few of these in because of how tight the fleet is. What's up, Minnie? How you doing? It's good to see you. Thanks for saying hi. White on black or minimal? White on black all day, every day. Urban Lime. White on black greater than black on white. IMO. Say that 10 times fast. Okay. So we're almost done, I think, putting our good anchors in. Yeah, we're getting there for sure. This is where we want to be. Last Hamon base set, that's outrageous. Hamon wasn't even a good set. Don't do that. Was not good. I actually almost jumped in on it from somebody who was willing to sell me one, like basically at cost. CBT Twitch, thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate that. And I'm sure they probably would still sell it if they still have their extra set, because they're just a genuinely cool dude. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I kind of decided against it because it just isn't that good of a set, especially not at that price. Holding on to it for when you acquire a velvet thing. Yeah, I mean, it can go well in terms of a themed set. Hey, Befuddled Spork, I saw you said something up there, and I want to know what you were saying before. What I was asking before, do you want a stepped caps or not? How are there 160 votes for something, guys? Something here is busted. Someone is definitely botting some numbers. I'm just saying, either that or the thing is broken. But GMK Olive won with 190 votes. Come on. Oh, spend points. Okay, that makes sense. Got it. No, they are worth something. We're not going to ignore the points. I did not realize that you could do that with points, but that's awesome. I was like, that's too many votes. But okay. You can definitely sway the vote with your points. We allow that kind of thing here. Man, a lot of you guys must have spent a ton of points. Oh, and bits. Imported Shark 80. The bits. Thank you so much. Man, I don't even know what you voted for. Hopefully you voted for that. I was like, something's wrong. Someone's botting this. More than one someone. That's what was going through my mind. No. I appreciate that. That's great. It just surprised me. Thank you for those bits, by the way. I do appreciate that. And S3LQ Selk. Thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate that. I really, really do. Yeah, Befuddled. The question is, do you want stepped or standard caps lock? It's not a hard question. I recommend if you've got GMK sets and stuff, sets that support stepped, you go stepped. TSC is point rich. That's true. She talks a bit in my channel. She's awesome. Let's go stepped. Yeah, I mean, if you've got sets that support it, then go with stepped because it looks better. I think 90% of my channel would probably agree with you. Or with that option. Though channel, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I'll say it outright. Olive is ugly IMO. Pleasant chaos. I do not love Olive myself. However, I think it'll look good on this board, which is why I picked it as an option. I think all of these sets will look pretty good as on this board specifically. But I mean, I think Hamon is ugly, but it could look really good on the correct themed board. Man, these are crazy tight in the plate, and these are Zeal. Like, Holy Pandas would be terrible to install on this plate. They would destroy your fingers. My fingers are going to hurt already. Oh, God. No, it's in on the top. It's not in on the bottom. Go in. Okay. Oh, God damn. It's in. Just didn't hear the click. I've only built one before, and I don't recall it being really tight like this, but it very well could have been. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. And that's okay. I'm not hating it. Have you guys seen the Keycap GB calendar site? Post the link, please. I love it. I'm also gonna open it again. I'm loving that there's more information about stuff that doesn't force me to like just pay attention to Geek Hack all the time. So like sleek keyboards, the keyboard or Keycap calendar, stuff like that. I support these things. Very, very much support these things. Oh yeah. Black Modi. Modi. Black Modi. GMK Masterpiece. Cat Arctic. Ooh, definitely want in on Cat Arctic. I wish I got in on JTK Arctic. Man, okay, this is like super tight. That's what she said. Oh. Just hope I'm not bending any pins, because these are going to be a giant pain in the ass to get out as well. Like, I know how to do it. And by the way, the how to do it when they're super tight in the plate like that, and even when you've got the switch puller on the top and you can't get it out, is you pull with the switch puller and use like a spudger tool to push on the stem center. That'll apply a little bit of extra force to snap it out, but you got to be careful not to knock off any resistors or capacitors or gouge the board. You want to use like a plastic spudger. I love that it's a fixed PCB though, or mostly fixed PCB, because it makes it like easy. You don't need silk screening, you don't need whatever. It goes where it's supposed to go and it works. Helper for finding through color selection, keycap sets. Man, I love that you guys are posting these awesome links. DD Decline, it's very helpful. Disclaimer, you're a Discord mod for mech group buys. I mean, I appreciate the heads up, DD Decline. I did not actually know that. However, I don't think there's bias there. If you think the tool is useful, you think the tool is useful. Plus, being a mod doesn't imply financial gain or anything. I don't think you're... I appreciate that you did it, but I don't think you're obligated to divulge that in the future if you don't want to. I wouldn't feel bad about it, personally, at least. Anyway, honestly, if somebody comes up to me and is like, hey, I have tools that are made to help you do a thing you already want to do, like, even if they have a vested interest, even if they're like, I'm also selling a service or advertising to you on that, I'd be like, okay, great. Let me see what it is. I'll check it out with ad block on first and see if I like it. Right? What up, Jax? How you doing, man? How you doing? Building a polycarb canoe today, man. I don't know what it is about polycarb, but it sounds good. It has good sound qualities. I don't really like polycarb plates, but as a case material, good sounds. Canoe is great, man. Canoe is a good board. But this plate is stupid tight. Like, stupid tight. These are Zeal switches and they're tight. Like, do this with Holy Pandas. I dare ya. So what's new, Jax? What are you up to, man? Please tell everybody. What's the haps? I mean, if you want to. If you can. What is this plate? This is a aluminum plate. 122/32 key with multi-touch pad. Oh yeah. Gotta get that track point in there too. I know Shocks would love that. PC Canoe, yeah, okay. Use a rubber mallet to get them in. Definitely not doing that. Definitely not doing that. I'm gonna put this up because we're using olive now. We've decided. People spent points to help sway the vote and bits. And hopefully you guys got what you wanted. Because we are, in fact, going to use GMK olive. I mean, we're not ready yet, but I want to make sure this is what's out. All right. That's something you're working on? Really, Jax? That's awesome, man. You want it on both hands. Between E and R and U and I? Oh, okay. Have I ever tried MT3 profile keycaps? Jessup, yes, I have MT3/dev TTY, and I don't really love it. Gotta be honest, don't really love it. It's okay. It's okay. It's worth a shot. If you like really sculpted caps, it's better than SA. IMO. Hyper 7. Your F1 through F24 are facing you. Dude, I can't wait. I'm actually down. That sounds cool, man. I think you know I'm pretty much in. Pretty much in. You like SA and you pretty much immediately fell in love with it. Urban Lime, thanks for that follow. Yeah, if you like SA and you like the sculpt and you want more, MT3 is actually good for you. I just don't love MT3. I like the look of it, and I got in on Susuwatari, so I'm definitely curious to see how it goes in ABS, how it feels, etc. But it'll never be my daily. In fact, if I were going to do a sculpted daily, I've already said this before, I would have my own keycap set made, and I would do a limited production GB for it, like private GB, and it would be all row 3 sculpted, no homing keys. Everything is homing. And I even talked to Melissa at Signature Plastics about that thing, and she was like, we can absolutely do that. So that it could happen one day, that it will happen one day. It's almost certainly gonna happen. Almost certainly. Just not right now, because it's not on my priority list. What we are gonna do though, what is on my priority list, is turning this fan on. I think it would be pretty sick too, Urban Lime. Racing Giraffe, don't worry. I'll tell you what, if you guys ever hear, hey, I'm doing a private group buy for a key set, if you already know me and know what I'm talking about, if you can recall what that thing is to me, let's go. I'll announce it that way. And that kind of just leaves it to people who are already in the know. We're not broadcasting to so big an audience that all of you guys are going to remember. So, you know. I would actually limit it to a pretty small number of people, to be honest. Mostly because I just don't want to do that much QC. Jessup 15. Oh, Jack Static, thanks for gifting that tier 1 sub to Jessup 59. I appreciate that, man. I really do. And KOFC, thank you for that follow. I think I missed you, but thank you so much. Jax, you would need somebody with an injection molding machine. I mean, I'm down to do a completely new vendor keycap set. That would be sick. I've even considered it. I would need somebody with an injection molding machine though. So let's talk sometime. I'm sure you got ideas. This has to be the most information-rich stream of all the streams on Mech Keyboards on Twitch. Without dissing anyone, I prefer this to Teha /TT is overcrowded. He caters to all his buddies like Zombu and yeah. Okay, I understand. I definitely don't want to diss on anybody. That's an important factor for me. I want constructive criticism, and I am willing to criticize some vendors, some boards, some key sets, but it's just generally not productive to bash anyone. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. So I think that's what I think. Getting the connects, racing around. I like Teha though, by the way. I actually really do like Jessup, reading your thing. I do really like Nathan, actually. He's a nice person. I have met him in real life a few times. He's a nice guy. And his stream is aimed in a different direction than mine. That's really what it is. He has different goals for what he's trying to accomplish with his content. So we're just gonna have different vibes. And that's all right. The community needs that. I would even argue that more of the community probably needs his type of content, which is evidenced by the fact that considerably more folks watch that stream than mine. But I'm happy to have the viewers that I do, and I'm happy to engage with the people that I do in the way that I do. But there are different ways that I want to engage, and that's actually why, if you watched Mechs on Deck when Langalandia was on last night, there was a little announcement about that. The Kalanopes project that Tiny Shiny Crumb, Langalandia, and I are going to be doing, which is all about bringing you all educational content for keyboards and adjacent and maybe even some non-adjacent things. But we have some good ideas, and we want to hear more about your ideas, about what you want to know about. And I'm sure TSC can provide some information about where you can give us exactly that feedback. Did you miss that, Jax? Yeah, man, that's the thing. That's the thing we want to do. turns out all three of us either have some experience or well, I guess all three of us have some experience, right? Two of them professionally at some point or another, or currently, the Opes at least. And then in my case, making the content that I make for you guys already, I definitely aim myself at being more educational and informative when we build keyboards, but it's a limited subset of things that I think we're all interested in. Not just the build process. There's so much more to this, and we want to engage people, honestly, probably like you, Jax, to talk about some of those other factors, right? Yeah, that's our stated goal, right? We want to engage to bring that type of content, a thing that is a gap in the market. Actually, some people, not the market, but a gap in the content that's available, right? Some people talk about stuff like that's educational. Oh shit. Okay, that's better. One needed a little bit more love. Anyway, that's definitely where we're going with it. Lana likes the sheer mass of people he's been pulling. It's harder to keep the same type of vibe than with a smaller group. Yeah, absolutely, Lana. You're not wrong. BRB, you gotta watch. Thanks, man. Good one, Canoe. There's GMK Burgundy. Think it looks good. Yes. Agreed. Like Nathan too, he's very knowledgeable, but it's very glam and sponsor, business oriented, pure, more informative and intimate. Your interaction with your viewers is more friendly and you prefer it. Oh, I know. I don't think you're attacking anybody. What I'm saying is I want to make sure that everybody understands that I actually really like Nathan's content, and not only would it be a bad idea for my channel to do that, like that's the least of it, but mostly I actually like him, and I like that he makes the content he makes. I like that he brings such a cool spotlight to our community, right? It's very, very beneficial for all of us. Not to mention that he's just a genuine dude, in real life at least. Now, I will admit that I watch less of his content now than I did in the past, but I actually watch less of most streamers' content than I did in the past, and it's actually a consequence of just being kind of wrapped up in not just my own professional stuff, but making some other content or preparing to make more content or whatever, and just availability. But I do pop into everybody's thing from time to time, and I do watch quite a bit of other streamed content in the background or when I'm available to. Not just Nathan's. Plenty of people who have been in here. Stash rated earlier. I like watching Stash. Disco's been in here a bunch of today. Jay was in here earlier. I love watching their stuff. Like, it's just a lot of people. I was on Mechs on Deck yesterday, and so was Jeff, and I was there for my segment and his, and parts of the rest of it. Like, it was good, man. I like dealing with those guys. Toon Von, you like to how to, it's a deciding factor for you to dive into the hobby, but you watch other streamers more. Yeah, and that's fair, man. That's totally fair, Toon Von. Racing Giraffe, what did you just post? I want to see that link. With the red. Oh, that looks really clean, actually. Like really, really clean. Handerbite is an absolute atrocity. So if you know the history behind Handerbite, Handerbite's actually kind of an interesting story, right? Because it really was about GMK just showing off all the different colors that they were using. It wasn't about making a set that looked like Handerbite looks. It was about being like, here's the breadth of plastic colors that we're dealing with. But I think it's a meme set, right? Like, everybody likes that it's an atrocity who puts it on their board. Nobody's rolling that thing every day being like, yeah, this is the most beautiful set in the world. GMK Bingsu is available on Project Keyboard for pre-order right now. Gotta get in on the next round of Rukia. Rukia is a great board, man. It really is. It sounds so good. Like I can't believe how good the sound is over everything. I mean, it's great in many ways, but I love the sound. Like, straight up, my favorite sounding board that I have is Rukia. I don't know, Jax. I don't know what you like the most about Rukia. It was your creation, so I'm sure you have your own opinions. But that's mine. It just sounds so clean. So thocky. That's obviously going to depend on what switches you put in it, right? But mine has Zycos, and it's loud and beautiful. Yeah, man, you really wanted to. Rain just keeps talking about Rukia. Nice. You're shocked when you saw Handerbite. It looks like something that belongs in a nursery school for 4-year-olds. Oof, Jessup. Shots fired. Also kind of true. Bingsu. Can't wait for next round. Def gonna get it. Rukia sound was #1 priority. Well, it hit the mark. It really did. I would argue that it handily beats actual TGR Alice in terms of sound. Handily. And I have built a couple Alices on my stream. It's been a while. But handily beats them. And that is high praise, because Alice was a great board. Couldn't get rid of the echo. You love TGR Alice, but couldn't get rid of the echo no matter how you built or did shelf liner or rubber. Yeah. Yeah, original TGR Alice is an amazing board. It is. It's beautiful. Well, it's beautiful. That's really what it is. It's really what defines it, right? It's obviously its layout, but then also that the finish is really high quality and it looks pretty. But I mean, that's not all there is to a board. There's so many other factors. So many other factors. Sound is a major one, though. Like if your board sounds bad, I probably won't like it. My salamander is a perfect example of that. It looks great, but it sounds like garbage. In my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to get rid of it or anything. Just not my favorite board. Depper, take it easy, man. Take it easy. Yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, so we are whoosh, done. Maybe. I guess we'll find out. Let's test this bad boy out. Ooh, lights. Camera action. All right, let's get some switch hittery action up. Okay, cool. This one's soldered, but I can't remember. Yeah. Oh, okay. So obviously the function layer works too. All right, there we go, boys and girls. There we go. That was an easy one. Listen, chaos. The rotary coders are just a cherry on top. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? And Bingsu was a pretty case, wasn't it? Or was a pretty set, wasn't it? Yeah, I think if I were gonna get in on Bingsu at this point, I would just get the base set, maybe the space bars, probably space bars, base and space bars. The rest I just don't care. Jessup, puzzle that someone with the means hasn't gotten stuck into Mac keyboards and opened a store that stocks high quality boards and keeps them in stack. I think it's actually happened once before, but I don't know how well it lasted in like Japan, I think, maybe Korea. I think Japan though, specifically. More showcase. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought there was one in Japan, but that's the one. DD decline. There you go. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the part where we actually make this a final production. So what we're gonna do is, right, we're gonna get rid of this. So if you guys are soldering and you're getting flux all over the place, which is gonna happen if you're soldering, and you're dealing with a polycarb board like this, my recommendation would be take your surface and change it, or at least clean it very thoroughly. So polycarb gets scratched really easy, so you really want to not get it dirty and then have to clean it very much, because it's just kind of a pain. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, so here's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna kill the iron. Right, I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit. I'm gonna mute you guys for 1 sec, so this isn't super loud for you. All right, here we go. Sorry about all that. All right, so we'll pull this thing apart. Now it's pretty clean over here. We really don't want to mar the surface or do anything. It's going to cause problems for it. This is 2mm hex, and that fits in right. Okay. We ended up with these 2 extra stabilizer ones because we lubed an extra stabilizer because it's easy to forget. So I love 65% as a layout. I don't like page up and page down. That's pretty useless to me, but home and end are very useful to me. And so I just use those instead. Now, it doesn't fit profile wise very well there, but whatever. Works for me. If I ever make a set, I'll make sure that there's the correct profile there. Now, something that I love about this board, that I loved about the first one that we made, that I love about this one, Jax, I know you'll be interested to hear this, is that there are inserts. Helicoils, it looks kind of like helicoils, inside of the polycarbonate, which will make it a little bit more difficult to strip out. To strip anything out, right? So if I do this, this is what we end up with. Now we've got some other stuff going on here we're going to take advantage of. Kind of look at this. You'll see that there are retained screw holes for here, here, and here. What's going on is those are to mount this to the bottom. So we've got these extra screws right here. I believe it's these ones. I believe. We'll find out. It's not a hard thing to figure out. So this is not 2mm. Oh, it is 2mm hex on top. All right, so we'll boom, screw that down. And this. So we're not tightening these down yet. No torque. We're literally just threading them in. So those are cool until they themselves come out, then you have 0 threads. You're not wrong. I agree. However, they do have a slightly larger thread surface than the M1.5 or whatever. The actual threads are in there simply because there's just more material. It does add a lot of cost, but if you used, I think maybe they could have just used a larger diameter screw, like a larger thread, and gotten the same effect. Probably. I don't know how much better they bite in. They definitely appear to do a better job, whether they do or don't. I believe, right? Mateo's soldering iron melt-in method works on acrylic and PLA/3D printed boards, but not on thermoplastics. Really? Okay. See, I learn stuff every day. And this is why I talk to you about stuff, man. No joke. All right, so you got this cool little rubberized diffuser deal. It goes in this little channel up here. We literally just press it in. Make sure it kind of evens out, and then press it down until it's flush. Maybe even seats in there just a little bit. It's obviously possible and is done on some people, by some people on polycarb. Best thing for screwing into polycarb more has to do with screw type, angle of teeth, threads. Yeah. So I wonder if, because they're thermoplastics, if there's a way to build something that's retained in there. Yeah, I would guess that a slightly coarser thread pitch is gonna bite in with deeper threads, is gonna bite in a little better, though I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. If it's injection molded, it's easier. That's what I'm talking about. If it's injection molded, you might be able to retain a nut or something in there as an example. Yeah. All right. So we have this beautiful board here. Now all we need to do is flip it over and screw this stuff back in. And a downside to this board, something that I will criticize it for, is it does not have bump-on insert cutouts, nor actual bump-ons, of course, as a result. Yeah, I figured it could be injection molded. I mean, it is injection molded into sheets before it's milled in many cases, right? I mean, if it's a thermoplastic, how else did it get into sheet form in the first place, right? With no special steps like you need for you. Okay. Other plastics like POM are usually cold compressed, then rolled. Oh, they're cold rolled? I didn't realize that. See, man, this is why I come to you to talk about plastics. I figured you would have the info, man. And thank you, by the way, for always sharing it with me. I really do appreciate it. And sharing it with my stream, because it's the thing that I'm not as educated on as anybody who's into the manufacturing with them. So people who did palm stacked boards have inconsistencies with plate thickness. Fair. Okay. So for a polycarb board not to have bump-ons is a damn shame. IMO. AGB gave up because of it. Ooh, I didn't know that. But I believe it. All right, so let's get some keycaps on this bad boy. And before we do that, let's plug it in so we can look at the pretty lights. Because you got those RGBs, you might as well be looking at them. And getting, you know, little lens flares off of them. Like right here, there's some lens flares. Yes, you can just put bump-ons on. There just aren't bump-ons that came with it. I have some bump-ons. They're just fairly large for this board. They're gonna make it sit fairly high. Fairly high. Question about 65% boards. If the board is VIA compatible, access to F1 through /F12 on layer 2, is it possible to get or to set a key that accesses layer 2 only? Hold on. Is it possible to set a key that accesses layer 2 only while it's pressed, e.g. Alt key, if press accesses layer 2, but when released goes back to layer 1? No, that momentary on is the thing I think you're talking about. So momentary on means it's only on when you're holding it. Yeah. Yes, indeed. We're not gonna do. Are we gonna do novelties? Hold on. We're gonna do novelties. Mostly because I found them. I don't know why I have switch hitter up. You guys don't need to see switch hitter. It's just there to like capture. Just there to capture. There we go. Of course, we're going to do this. So can a key be set to momentary on for a, could I demonstrate it? I don't recall if this keyboard is VIA compatible, is it? But yes, I could demonstrate it. I suppose I will. Can you ask me when we're done putting all the keycaps on this? And then I will be happy to show you. Jessup on my K65 uses VIA. You can set it to hold spacebar to activate a new layer. How you hit the F keys. Oh yeah. There's all sorts of different. There really is all sorts of different ways to handle layers in QMK. Absolutely. A ton of them. I think this is actually going to look fairly good on this. Is the top right the escape or tilde both pressed when I was testing switches? So I think this, yeah, this is tilde. And this is escape. That's just the default mapping. You can absolutely change the mapping to whatever you want. I just don't recall if this board uses QMK or what it uses. I'd have to look it up. But if it's QMK, it's easy. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I just don't recall. Man. Do you guys remember? Does anyone recall? Yeah, so basically this is here. But there's gonna be another accent key that goes up there. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Where's my 1.75U shift? Oh, that's cute. Huh. Okay. That's funny even. That's like extraordinarily funny. This is a GMK9's shift. And it does look fairly similar, but it's different. Absolutely different. Hopefully they do another round. I believe they probably will. I believe you're gonna get there. A do. Okay, and now this can be kind of whatever we want. I'm gonna do, here's my page up. Page down. Page down is not the right page down. Guess we do want this other page down. Perfect. And then I don't recall what's here or here because, you know, shit's confusing. Row 1 though, so we can kind of do whatever we want there. We'll do insert because it doesn't matter, and then we'll do another function layer key. That doesn't mean we'll program it that way, it just means that's what it'll look like. Perfect guys. Hey guys. In here? I don't think this was in there. Doesn't make sense that it would be. All right. Boom. Move this off to the side. Right. And then see if there's anything in here. Nope. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. You just got KBD 67 Mark II this morning and are waiting for Space 65 Cyber Voyager, I think is what you meant to say. And the Sat 75 is going to be rumored. It will be rumored later. Or it's not rumored. It will be later this year. I will do Sat 75 for sure. Void Radiant. I did get in on Space 65 Cyber Voyager. I got the Schrodinger kit. Did anyone else get in on the Schrodinger kit? Yeah, this does look great. Olive is weird, but it has grown on you. I don't love olive. I gotta be real honest. It's not a set I like. Not a set I like at all. But it looks good on the board, and that's kind of what matters here. That's kind of what matters here. Look at that. Just so you guys get an idea of what this thing looks like. Nope, you got the RoboCop kit. That's the one I was thinking about getting. Hyper mode art, by the way. I just didn't. Yeah, olive drab, I think, is the color you're thinking of. DD decline. I don't love it either. Jessup, could you set alt to be momentary on for the F row keys? Could I set alt to be momentary on for the F row keys? Do you also want it to be alt if you tap it? Because there's multiple options there. Got flux down here. It's gross. So let me kind of go over it. I don't think this board is via straight out of the box, right? I don't even know if this board supports what it supports. I literally don't remember. So let me go to the VIA configurator website. Right. Hold on. Copy. Okay. Check this out, guys. Boom. Okay, you guys seeing that? No, you aren't yet. Let's go here. Okay. So let's look over this, right? VIA, great. Download VIA. Firmware. Control F. What are we looking for? We're looking for Canoe. No. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think this is a... Studio. I don't remember what software they use for their stuff. Downloads. Oh, is it Bootmapper? Okay, it's Bootmapper. So Bootmapper is a giant pain. So we're not going to change this at all. It's not a giant pain. It's just you need to download and install Bootmapper, which looks like this. I just opened it, but I'm not going to go over how to do Bootmapper right now, but I will help you with this part, right? Okay. So I'll pull up a board that is VIA compatible. This has a DZ60 in it, right? Okay, boom. So I'll pull up VIA real quick. Once you have VIA turned on, right? Right. This is kind of what this looks like. Come on, VIA, where you is? Okay, so here's VIA. So what is it that you actually wanted to set up? You wanted to set up momentary on for the F row keys. Okay, so layer 1, right? So I have all of these layer keys and momentary on. So my momentary on is something that is, I mean, I'm using Win keyless, so there is no button there. But if I wanted to, I could select this, change it from right alt to layers, and then click, where's MO? Click MO1, right? So now, if I hide VIA instantly, right? If I open up switch hitter, right? And I push this button, F1, oh, hold on. Helps if I'm in switch hitter. Okay, there you go. F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, F7, F8. Whatever. You can see that you know what I'm doing. Oh, I just clicked it into reset mode. Okay, doesn't matter. But I think you get it, right? Yep, no problem. So now I'm back in VIA because I want to change that back because I use my alt. So if I do this, right, I click here and I say, where's right alt? Right alt. Boom. Now it's alt. And we are done. That's how easy it is. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad that it did. If you have other ones, please feel free to ask. All right, boys and girls. Yeah, so momentary on. Okay, so anytime you go to that layers section or whatever, it's gonna talk about how you get to different layers on your keyboard, right? So momentary on is a way of selecting a different layer. There's other ways. There's like tap on, which is where if you like this button can be alt, but then if I tap it a couple times, it now switches to a different layer, and the board is on a different function layer, and it just stays that way until I tap it again or whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways, and I'm not familiar with most of them. I usually only use momentary on, which is what everyone's familiar with, like this button. Like if I push this, I get the other row, and if I let off, I'm not on there anymore. I really only use that. I have set up tap on for customers before. There are way more advanced things you can do with it. So you think via maybe only limited? No, it had other things. I thought. Maybe not. Anyway, hyper mode art, I'm super curious to see what colors are going to be in the Schrodinger kits too. They're supposed to be experimental colors not shown in the GB. Yes, that's correct. All right, guys. So now we're here. Yeah, no problem, man. So now we're here, right? And we're gonna do some typing sounds. You guys want to hear what it's like? All right, boys and girls. All right, we're almost there. There's a couple things I got to do to make this sound good. One is turn off that air conditioner that's in there. The other is let's turn that off. My little vaporizer over there. Okay. Trying to get into the Keep community more, so watching a lot more streams. David Icy, thank you, man, and welcome. All right, so we're about a hand span-ish away from the space bar, maybe just a little bit less. Yeah, okay, we got a good view. Good. The next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn off my noise gate. So I want you guys to hear. I'm gonna turn off the noise gate and I'm gonna turn off the compressor. And I'm gonna make a habit of doing this all the time on my vids now. So here we go. Music off. You don't hear a lot of background sound because we have a way of muting that out. This is what the room sounds like through this mic. So you guys can obviously hear a little bit, right? We're gonna crank down the compressor to nothing, which you probably just heard stuff change a little bit, but that's okay. All right. I'm gonna pull up switch hitter and I'm gonna let you guys hear. It's gonna be a little loud because you're pretty close. Yeah, I'm not using RTX voice. RTX voice would not pick any of this up for sure. I have played with RTX voice on my main rig, not on this one, and I don't think that I want to turn RTX on for my build streams specifically because the build streams are going to have key press sounds on purpose. But RTX voice is awesome if you want to use it outside of this type of an environment. Yeah, it would be terrible for this. Okay. So I think you guys get the idea. It sounds pretty good, actually. I like the sound. All right. I think it sounds great. For a 65%, I think it sounds fantastic. But now we're going to move on to a little bit of goodness. Maybe? Why did Firefox not come up? Oh, because we're not on over the shoulder view. So now we're going to switch to this view, right? I'm going to pull up Firefox and we're going to do a typing test. You guys all ready for this? Do. No, I'm joking. Okay. Okay. There we go. So yeah. I think I really liked it. I was really close, David IC, to 76. I messed up that last word. A couple little typos. So I am a big fan. I like the %Canoe. I don't like that it uses bootmapper. Bootmapper is garbage, but it looks fantastic. Like, it couldn't really look much better than it does. I think it could maybe have underglow, like shine back through the bottom RGB, but I kind of like it the way it is, and I kind of like the muted RGB a little bit anyway. Yeah, I would definitely love to own one of these. They weren't too expensive, I think, when they were brand new also. Yeah. This is definitely a thing to do. And I do like 65. 65, I think, is a fantastic layout. It works well for me. It works well for a lot of people who need a compressed desktop but still want their arrows and maybe a small amount of added functionality. Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely love to own one of these. And if there's another round of them, I would be happy to buy one. I think this board looks lovely. Sounds great. Like, truly great. Befuddled Spork, I don't know if you're in here, but I hope you really like it. This sound is great. I don't know what key set you're planning on putting on here. How do the keys feel though? Well, I mean, they're Zealio V2s. So they feel really good. Ski Dolce is going to look really good on this, actually. So they feel great. They're Zeal V2s, right? They're 65 gram, I think. That's what I put in here. That's what I put in the comments. They're either 65s or 67s. Befuddled Spork, I'm sure, can be way more specific since he bought them. The color looked like 65s. This has an aluminum plate servo O. So probably one of the lesser great plate materials in most people's minds, but I like it, and I like aluminum in general. The switches are lubed, and I'm the one who lubed them with 3204, and I think they're fantastic. Well, let me be very specific. The stems are tub lubed with 3204, and the springs are tub lubed with 205 grade 0. I always do my stems or my springs with 205 grade 0, simply because I have more of it, and it's massive. Like, its mass per volume is high, so it does its job really well, which is damping. I would always head with brass if the option exists. This board has a polycarb weight, which means basically no added weight, and an aluminum plate, so it's in one of the lightest configurations it could be in. There is a carbon fiber plate option, which would make it slightly lighter, though the aluminum plate is not very heavy in this. We will go back to our overhead view, and I'll get a weight for you so you can kind of understand where we're at with this board. It's fairly lightweight at 1 pound 13.2 ounces. To throw that into perspective, my Baca 60, which is an aluminum board with a brass weight, right? That's right here. This is modeled after the TX 60, right? It's made to effectively clone it with some improvements. Is 5 pounds 2.6 ounces. So it's fairly significant in terms of difference. They are 65 gram. Okay, that's what I thought, and that's what I wrote down. But that's okay. I don't mind that it's lightweight. It does need some bump-ons. Customer, once I pack this up and you get it in here, I suggest that you can find on Amazon some very low-profile bump-ons, and you need to put one here, one here, one here, and one here. And then you will not have to worry about scratching the bottom up so easily. It's polycarb, so no matter what, eventually it's going to get some scratches. If I had some, I would absolutely put some on. I do have some bump-ons, but the ones that I have are very large and will make this board another like 4 millimeters or 5 millimeters taller, which you probably don't want. They're definitely made for a recessed area, the ones that I have. That's not what you want on here for sure. So I'll start trying to carry some bump-ons for customer board builds in the future, but right now, that's not where we're at. I don't have them. I hope you guys love this board. I actually like it a lot. Then again, there's very few boards that I get that I'm like, nah, I think that's terrible. That doesn't happen, because most of the boards you can get are nice. However, I am willing to criticize boards for the things that are good and bad about them. This board is not an exception to that. Sorry, I changed my sound settings to work better for it. This board is not an exception to that. So let me tell you where I think this board has its drawbacks. It's very lightweight. This board should have come with, and maybe it did, and maybe you just didn't choose it, customer. That's fine. If you wanted it that way, that makes sense. But I think most of them did come with this weight, and you had to separately order a brass weight. It should have come with the option to order it with a brass weight. It should have come with the option to put in a brass plate. Yeah, Jessup, I kind of agree with you, but different 65s are built differently. Anyway, the other places I think this board is weak is the firmware, right? I think it could have QMK support, which maybe this version of the PCB does, I don't know. Import Shark 80, thank you for the 200 bitty bits. Thank you so much. I'm glad that this also looks good to you, man. I am. Yeah, they're interchangeable, but I don't believe they offered it, which makes the polycarb weight silly. It should have been offered with a brass weight, which would have made this board probably 1 pound heavier, which is a really big, a really significant difference, right? In how substantial it feels. This board feels very light, and for a travel board, it would be fantastic. Throw it in a pouch and throw that in your backpack or travel bag or whatever, and it'd be great. I don't this is not a judgment of you. I'm just saying I really like this board a lot. I actually really like the polycarb Canoe. I would buy one. But I'm going to criticize the boards for where they have shortcomings and praise them where they succeed really well. The sound is great. The look is beautiful. The RGB looks stunningly good, I think, for RGB. The downsides are its mass. It doesn't have recessed bump on pockets, which is especially bad for a polycarb board. I would really like to see that, so that the bump-ons just barely stick out the bottom and protect it from touching things. I simultaneously like that it has a completely fixed PCB, but I dislike that the plate doesn't match exactly the fix, right? So why does it support ISO enter on the plate, but then the PCB doesn't? Can you just give me a fixed plate and PCB to each other? That would be better. I don't like that it only supports a 6.25U bottom row with 3 here and 2 here and all 1.25s. I don't like that, actually. Right? You could easily have either made a 7U or 2 1.5s and change, like, yeah, it could have been done differently, and it should have been IMO. But that being said, it's beautiful. It's truly beautiful, and it sounds great. And for any other negative consequence or negative criticism, I would buy one of these. And I think if you all get the opportunity to, and you want a board like this, you should buy one too. Now you're gonna have to remember that's you. Okay, so everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, for sticking with me. 48 of you guys still here. That's awesome. I love my Sunday streams. Honestly, my favorite day to stream now is Sunday, because I like this audience a lot. And if you aren't already following, I really would love it if you go ahead and follow, sub, whatever it is you want to do, then head over to my other socials and go ahead and give a follow there, or a sub, or whatever it is there. Different platforms call it different things, but let's keep in touch. Keep in touch on Instagram, right? Instagram, I'll release some stuff every now and then. I go through spurts. I should get really better about that, but I will. I actually capture pictures and stuff of the boards and stuff that I make. I just don't publish them that quick. YouTube, you're gonna find all of this content, but also you'll find some other content from time to time, but mostly it's these VODs. And then on Twitter, you'll always get go live notifications. Sometimes Twitch is bad about notifying, so you know that exists. Thank you Discriminate, and thank you Discriminate for that follow, and Impork Shark 80, thank you so much for that tier 1 sub. I really appreciate that, guys. You guys are awesome. I don't know who else is streaming right now in the Keeb community, but we're about to find out, because I always want to pay it forward to other keyboard content creators. Oh my god. Typoing really small things. I want to make sure. Ooh, Disco Crocodile. So Disco Crocodile is streaming right now, and that guy is freaking awesome. That's absolutely who we're gonna raid today. Thank you guys so much, seriously. And again, I can't wait to see you guys next time. I think I'm contemplating. I'm not even contemplating. I'm planning on moving my Wednesday stream to Tuesdays. That's not going to happen this week. We'll see when it does, but it won't be too far off. I think that's where it needs to go. I think there's a little bit better of a slot there for us. So I'll keep in touch. I really love my Sundays, though. You guys are our fam. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I will catch you guys on the next one. Ooh. Helps if I type the raid command into my own channel, I think. Yeah, I think that's where I'm supposed to do it, not into their channel. All right. Take it easy, guys. Oh no, Swizz, I'm sorry, man. We're ending. We built a beautiful board, though. I'll see you over there. I'll drop in for just a minute and say hi. All right. You guys are awesome. I love my viewers. I love my Sunday slot. And I'll be here next time. And on Wednesday this week. Later.
I have a Fiel, Tofu, and TKL Arc 80 in collection whenever the Arc. Yo! I am me, you are you, aka Josh. With the Megamind raid. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He's beginning to believe.
Yo, Tiny Shiny Crumb, what's up? What's up, guys? We were doing some